Hello, friends, and welcome to Born to Be All of Me, the podcast. I am your host, Amber Sousa, and I am absolutely delighted to be here with my friend, Monet Sabel. Superstar, remember this name. I promise you, this is a woman that you will know. You will know she is a superstar. Talk about born to be something. You were born to be a superstar. Like there's no
Oh,
doubt about it. Just no doubt about it.
thank
And
you.
yeah, I love you. For our audience who is listening, Monet has her mom, Sue, has been dancing with me and taking my plyo gym class for years. And then anytime Monet is in town, she comes and dances with us. And
I love it.
I love having you. And I was telling Monet before we hit record, I just watched one of her Instagram posts. And not only is she an incredible singer and actress and dancer, she's funny. You're funny. Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad you think so. I crack myself up, certainly. So,
Yeah, you certainly are. And I watched a couple clips on your website of like the wine tasting scene.
oh, yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, go check it out. I will post all of the links and we are just beginning, but I'm already so excited. So go to monetsabel.com and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by reading her bio, and then we're just going to jump in. And I want to say, too, in all transparency and honesty, selfishly, I wanted you to come on today because I'm needing some inspiration. And you are someone that inspires me because
Oh,
you are living the life that you were born to live, as a performer, as a star, as an entertainer, as someone who heals the world with your gifts. And so
oh, Amber,
I
thank you.
I was like, I feel like I need a little inspiration. And so I'm guessing that my audience does too. So I thank you for being here with me today.
It is such a pleasure. I'm so flattered already. I can't wait.
Yay. Okay, so here we go. Let's dive in. Monet Sabel is a California raised, New York City based actress, singer, musician, and adventurer. Monet grew up performing in Southern California, then moved to New York to study at NYU Tisch, new studio on Broadway. After school, she was cast in the critically acclaimed off-Broadway revival of Sweeney Todd, which was an immersive production set in a pie shop in the West Village. For the past several years, she has been playing Carole King in Beautiful, the Carole King Musical, first joining the show on the national tour and subsequently playing regional theaters all around the country. She has toured internationally as well as a vocalist in the Japanese tour of Disney On Classic. Monet recorded a self-titled jazz album, which is available to stream, and is the soloist on an Emmy-nominated song featured in the HBO documentary Song of Parkland. So you can find Monet on Instagram at Monet Sabel, or you can go to her website, monetsabel.com, and I will put those in the show notes. I had the pleasure of seeing you play Carole King. And the reason why people go watch entertainment and performing is because it moves you, it brings you to tears, and it wakes something up in you that
Mhm.
is like beyond the day to day, right? And I watched you and I just tears. It makes me want to cry even thinking about it because the way that you embody that character and that role is, God, it makes me want to jump up and down in my seat and just scream with delight because you are so talented. You are so amazing. You are so like, this is what you were born to do.
Thank you. I I mean, I feel the same, which is such a gift that I get to do this in this lifetime. I mean, how rare it is that it works out. Like, I'm so happy. I mean,
Yeah.
something I love about Beautiful, the show, and for the listeners, Beautiful is a musical about Carole King from when she was 16, just starting out selling her music to other artists in New York City. And then it culminates at the end with her recording Tapestry and performing it in the iconic Carnegie Hall performance. So you get kind of the first half of her life. I think the show is so special because it's, I mean, first of all, about a young woman who is in a man's world and she doesn't know what to do, but she has confidence, she has talent, she has tenacity, she has optimism, and she has all these things on her side that enable her to kind of, against all odds, succeed. And then by the end, grows into this very confident, grounded performer that is the Carol that we know and love. And so I think getting to do that show every day is an inspiration in itself because you're going on this positive journey of growth and confidence and I think that's something that it's mirrored my life in a way because I didn't, not that I wasn't confident in my 20s, but I felt like I lacked a little bit of just the ability to say like I am good at this. I am the best at this. I am the person that you want. I can advocate for myself in not a conceited way, but just in a factual way. Like I'm really good and I
Yeah.
can do this show for you and you won't be disappointed because I'm going to be great at it. And I think now I'm able to say that more and just be like, yeah, it's fine. And if I don't get something, it's not because I wasn't good enough. It's because I didn't fit the puzzle, whatever. But we can get into all that too, of the way that theater works and how you get jobs, which is
Right. Yeah.
crazy life.
Well, I want to go back because I think, what you said is true, like how rare it is that you get to do what you were born to do. But I want that to change. Like, I want to live in a world where it's not rare. Like,
I
I want to
know.
live in a world where that's what it is, because it does not make any sense to me whatsoever that we come into this world with our own unique talents and gifts. Some of them are more obvious than others. Like, some of our gifts and talents, like yours, it's so obvious. It's like, oh, yeah, meant to be on stage. And then some people have to, spend some time kind of excavating and discovering what it is and what they do love to do. But I really believe that there's no, like, why would we come into this world with the desires that we have and the gifts that we have if we aren't meant to use them and be them and have that be our life?
I know.
But like what you said, it's rare. And the reason why it's rare is because, we get discouraged, or we experience rejection, or we have, a dream and it doesn't pan out the way that we want to. So
And there's fear, I think, involved in
yeah,
really saying, am I gonna really go for it? And what if
right.
I get rejected? What if people say no? What if people don't like it? I mean, I think that's a huge part of it too.
Yes, nobody likes to feel rejected. That's for sure. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. Many of us would rather avoid the feeling of rejection than put ourselves out there, you know. But what I was curious about, so you started at a very young age and you studied at the Norris Theater in
Hmm.
Palos Verdes, and
Yes.
right. So how old were you when you had your first musical?
I believe that began when I was 7 years old.
7 years
I,
old.
yeah, I did The Wizard of Oz as a munchkin.
As a munchkin, I love it. So tell me, many people do theater and, do dance and like when they're a kid.
Hmm.
What do you think, what do you attribute your ability to stay the course and not give up? And all these years later, you're still like, nope, this is what I meant to do. Like, what do you attribute that to?
Hmm. It's a good question. On one hand, I sometimes feel like, well, I fell in love with it at such an early age, and so what else could I do? There was nothing else I could do. I had to do this.
Right.
But then I think a lot of things had to align in order to make that happen. I think I remember a big turning point was in high school. Um, certain colleges do high school summer programs where you can go to the college and like I went to Carnegie Mellon for 6 weeks. They had a summer program that's kind of a pre-college experience. And that was, I think it's intended to see if you really want this. Like, do you really
Mm,
want to go through this rigorous training, this like, uncertain life, and
right.
is this something that you want to do? And I think a lot of people in that summer realized, no, thank you. That's not for me. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna do something else. Um,
Okay.
and I really was obsessed with it. We had these crazy classes. We were like doing, the stuff you see in movies, like wearing all black and rolling on the floor and like pretending we're animals and, just nuts stuff. But I loved it so much. And I was like, if this is what college is, I have to go and I have to do this for the rest of my life. So I think that was a big turning point where I got to kind of see it in action and meet a lot of actually people I'm still friends with who are still actors, which is kind of amazing. Um, I think that was part of it. Another huge part of it, which just we have to say it, is the support of my parents because they're amazing people. And
Who
I
and
know that
Johnny, we love
I
them.
know we love them. And they from the beginning were like, yes, you have to do this. And I think that there are still a lot of parents who are like, I don't know, theater, acting, I don't know. It's gonna be unstable, it's gonna be
Right.
uncertain, you might be poor, like and
Right.
I feel there's still a stigma. I feel all the time when I tell people I'm an actor, they're like, "Oh, right, but what restaurant are you working in?" And I'm like,
Right.
"No, I'm
What else?
not."
What do you really do? Yeah.
Yeah, like no, it can be done. And like, yes, sometimes I have to do weird jobs to get money, but like, I think it's all worth it. So anyway, yes. So the support of my parents, the encouragement, the also my dad had a career at Disney for a long time. He's a creative, but had commercial success in the arts, so I could see him as a model, as a you know icon, somebody to look up to.
Right.
Um, I think that was very inspiring. And then, especially once I got to New York City, I was accepted to NYU, and I moved here and met all of my amazing friends, and kind of really set me up because then I had 4 years of amazing training, and I got to be in this city where it's all happening.
Mhm.
So there was kind of no turning back after that. I felt like I
You're in
was
it.
like, well, I'm in it now. I have to
You're
do
in it
it.
now. Um, I think it's really interesting to talk about our ideas of success. And
Yes.
because, you mentioned when you mention that you're an actress, sometimes people will say, you know, probably half jokingly, like, well, what restaurant do you work at?
Yeah.
Um, and so because I grew up as an actress, I grew up as a performer, and so I also um, understand that stigma, like I'm just an actress, or there's
Right.
just something, but it's like I wish that people could have a different understanding of it's my choice and I'm choosing this. And there's no shame in occasionally having to do other jobs
Mm-hmm.
because I, the success is that I'm doing what I love the majority of the time. Right.
Yeah.
So I just, again, I want to help people reframe that because we are raised in a society where success looks a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that success is individual, right? Like my priority and my success is that I get to do what I love consistently on a daily basis. Like,
Yes.
yes, I am wanting to make millions of dollars. And yes, I want, the house with the ocean view and all those things. Absolutely. Um, but I want it along with doing what I love to do, what I was born to do, using all of my gifts and my talents. So
Yes.
I see
Yes.
you as a huge example of success because you have consistently been able to do what you love and what you were born to do from the age of 7. That's incredible.
Yes. It is. It is. Thank you. And I think I've had to do a lot of reframing of what success means for me too, because I think when I graduated college, I thought, oh, great. Now Broadway is going to call and they'll be banging down my door, and off I'll go on this illustrious career of performing on Broadway. And I'll never have a down moment, and I'll never have to get on unemployment. And that didn't happen, of course, because that's crazy. And that doesn't maybe happens to one person.
Right, right.
But so I think after that, And more in recent years, I'm able to kind of take it moment by moment. And I'm like, am I still enjoying this? Am I still enjoying this life that I live where I'm piecing together work each year? And like, am I scared and anxious too much? Is it like, should I find some stability? And I kind of like take maybe each year I'll kind of reframe like, what do I want to do? And there are certain years where I'm like, all I want to do is be on stage and sing, and I will do that anywhere. So I'll like try to find a job anywhere. I don't care about the pay, I don't care anything. I'm just like desperate to be singing.
Mm.
And that kind of worked out actually when I went to Minnesota a couple of years or last year. I spent like most of the year in Minneapolis doing a very long production of Beautiful, the Carole King show. Um, and that was I remember when I got that job, I was in the mindset of like I just really want to be on stage. I haven't done anything in a couple months. I just like really want to do this job. And that worked out for me where I got to go and like live in this new city and meet all these new people and I was on stage every day. And it was very difficult, but very fulfilling. And then now this year, I'm like, great, I got to do that. Now I want to just choose my jobs a little wiser if I can choose. I mean, sometimes there is no control in a way, but
Right.
I'm like, I want to stay in New York a little more. I want to like get my face known back in auditions here. I want to like meet casting directors again. I want to connect with my friends more. So I think each year my priorities shift too as to what success looks like. So right now I'm like, I'm in New York and I'm taking some acting classes and I'm going to auditions and like that is huge too because I feel like that's also a skill that I want to get better at is like just the auditioning of it all because we're always back to square one after a job ends. Like it's
Right.
kind of what I love about this career too is like it's the great equalizer. You know, whether you've been on Broadway for 10 years, your show will close. They all close. And then you're back at the beginning with all of us and we're all at
Yeah.
the audition together. And maybe they'll choose you, maybe they choose me, and who knows? And like it is what it is. We have to go back to square one. Um
That's so
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Because it's not linear at all. Like there's no ladder that you climb. You don't have to like pay your dues in the mailroom before you can get promoted to the
Right.
lawyer. Like it's like you just audition and like some jobs are for you and some are not. And I think that's kind of the language that I have started to use to like say this is for me or this is not for me. Like I
Hmm.
can go and do my best, but if they don't want me, then it's fine, fine. Okay, you know, it's I'm not the puzzle. I'm not the piece that's going to finish their puzzle for this moment. But maybe they'll remember me and then they want to put me in another puzzle and then I'm the perfect fit for that. So I think it's a difficult lesson that I think I'm always kind of still learning of when I don't get something, um, it's not personal and it's not because I'm not good enough. It's just that like I didn't fit this puzzle. So it's fine. I have to move on.
Is that something that you feel like has gets easier, or do you still have like a moment of like, oh, rejection, and then you have to work yourself into, no, it's good, it's all good, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's still hard, especially
It's
when
still hard.
there's things that I really want.
Yeah.
And then I try not to, but I'll start to like fantasize about, oh, I'm gonna go to, whatever state this summer. Like, oh, I'm gonna travel here this summer, and then I'm gonna like do this show, and I'm gonna meet these people, and I'm gonna like sing these songs, and I can't wait. And then you don't get it, and you're like, okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's gonna
Yeah.
be great. It's okay. I still have my life in New York. It's okay. Like, but I
Yeah.
I do dream a little bit, or like this January I was in Florida
Hmm.
doing a show and then I had an audition for a tour that I've really wanted to join for a while and a big national tour and I got crazy about it. I started like putting all my eggs in that basket. I was like, I'm gonna get it. This is it. It's finally my time. Oh my
Yeah.
God, here I go. I'm gonna join this tour. Where am I going? Texas. I'm gonna fly there. I can't wait. And then I called my agent and I was like, "Hey, you guys, have you heard anything? When am I leaving? Should I pack my bags?" And they're like, "No, you didn't get it." I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay."
God, I tell you, like this, it's okay. So this is the conversation, right? So
Yeah,
we have to have that belief.
I
We
know.
and we have to be in the certainty of the possibility. And we have to visualize it and we have to feel, right, like the emotions of it already happening.
Yes.
And also simultaneously be detached from the outcome so that we don't, like be devastated every single
And
time
drive
something
yourself
doesn't work out,
crazy.
right? So
Yeah.
it's like finding that balance of being in the certainty, being in the belief, like visualizing all the things working out,
Hmm.
finding that energy, that vibration, and then also letting go and detaching and leaving room for however it's meant to go, like giving it
Yes.
our best. It's so challenging. And, those of us who have chosen a life of being an entrepreneur or a performer, like we purposefully choose a life where there's more uncertainty than most people, which
Hmm.
seems a little bit like self-punishing, but
I know. And
but it's what we want to do, right?
it is, it is. And I have to remind myself that something will always come because it always does. And whether
Yeah.
it's like there have been years when I have not performed at all, or maybe I've done like one small thing or something, but then I think that it's also important to have a life in the interim that you enjoy as well, where you're not
Mm.
only like relying on the gigs. Also, because I think that sometimes you can smell the desperation on people if they're like, I
Right.
need this job so badly. I have
Yeah.
nothing else to live for. It's like, okay, I don't know if I want to spend a couple months with you this summer. Like, that seems really wild.
Please, please pick me.
I know. But then I think because I have wonderful friends in New York and I have this great apartment and I can, I have a life that I love here. So I don't feel so devastated when it doesn't work out. And like
Right.
I have some survival jobs that I like. That's what survival jobs, like how
Is
to
that
pay
what
the
they're called?
bills,
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like we like
Yeah.
take weird little odd jobs and it's fine. And I'm still enjoying them for now. And I enjoy the life I have here when I'm not performing. So I think that's important too. Because I still have some actor friends, even like very successful ones who have been on Broadway and we've had conversations like this and they'll say, I think I'll finally be happy when
Mm.
I'm on Broadway consistently and I'm also able to like have my teaching business take off and I have a great partner and then I think I'll be happy. And I'm like, well, you're never going to be happy. I mean, right? I mean, like, spoiler alert, it's never going to happen because even when you get all those things, you're going to say, well, when I am in a movie, then I'm going to be happy. And then, oh, when I win an Oscar, then I'm going to be happy. I think that it's just dangerous to think that way because I don't think we're ever going to find contentment then. Because if you're always placing it on something external, it's never going to pay off the way you think it is, I think. And of course, yes, I'm
Yeah.
happier when I'm doing a fancy job and I'm getting paid really well and I'm being taken care of. Like that, of course, like adds to my happiness. But I think that I have found ways that I can be happy now as I am today, no matter what, no matter if I'm ever on stage again. I think I have to remember that this is enough too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent point. And I watched recently, Aaron Rodgers has a documentary, I think it's on Netflix, and he talked about um, winning the Super Bowl and how that had been, that would be like for you, like winning a Tony or, right?
Yeah.
Like that is the ultimate. For a professional football player, winning the Super Bowl is the ultimate. And that's what he had dreamt of his entire childhood, his entire life. Like that was the goal. And then he
Yeah.
won. And of course, it was amazing. But then he had this like drop. Like, now
Mm-hmm.
what? Now what? And so he went on a soul searching, he's been on like this soul searching quest to find exactly what you're talking about. Like, it's wonderful to have these dreams and visions and to get excited about it. And also, we need to learn how to be able to feel really good in the present moment in any given
Yeah.
circumstance, which is a challenge. It's a challenge, but I think that's such a good point you're making.
Yeah. Another thing that has helped me with that, I read this article a couple years ago with this actor. I think he's Norwegian, Mads Mikkelsen. I don't
Okay.
even know him that well, but he just said this thing that like really stuck with me and it like totally changed my mindset about life and this career. But he said he's an actor mostly in films, and he says that he doesn't think of his career as an overarching thing. Like at the end of the life, I'll look back on my career. He just treats each job as the most important thing that he's doing. So he's like, if
Mm,
I'm doing a student film for somebody for no pay, I'm not going to be worse. I'm not gonna like treat it like a small time thing. I'm gonna do my very best with that and treat that like that's the last job I'll ever do. That's the most important job I'll ever do. And then I'll
Mm.
move to the next one. And if that's like a movie with Steven Spielberg, I still treat it exactly the same as I did the small film. And that kind of blew my mind because I you sometimes you're like, oh God, I don't know. Do I want to go do this thing for like $500 or I don't know. Like, is it going to be worth it? But then if you say yes, then you have to commit, I think, and that's important
Right.
too, like the integrity and like doing your very best because we have talent and I want to share it and I'm not going to like half-ass something or sorry, half, but
You could totally curse if you want to.
oops.
Half butt just does not sound good.
Doesn't hit the same.
Doesn't hit the same.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to half-ass something, even if I feel like it's below me or something, which I
Right.
don't feel that way. So I think that like idea really changed my mind too. Like I'm going to give my all to everything that I ever do because who knows if it's the last one. Also, like I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So I want to just do my best now and like be
Yep.
here now and be in this present moment.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Like bring all of you to each experience. And
Yeah.
also like I think of, for me when I'm teaching like my pleo gym class, like whether I have 4 people or 25 people, um, I know that the people that are there, it's like my job to deliver them an experience that
Yeah.
comes from me showing up as all of me, bringing the very best of me, like,
Hmm.
and coming from that place of like being of service and sharing my gifts. And so that's how it is with what you're talking about, like whether it's a student film or a Spielberg film, you're there to share your gifts. And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, you said that when you were in college, you kind of had this dream that you would graduate and then you'd go to Broadway and it would just work out. And I can totally relate because I have definitely like had, this is what's going to happen. And then, somebody is going to discover me and it's going to, whatever. Oh, I'm going to get a call from Oprah, which
Yep.
I am still not saying that I don't believe that at some point. Like I
Yes.
still hold that in my heart, like
Yes.
that is
Yes.
possible. But what would you say to yourself, your college aged self from where you are now? Like you don't want to squash their dreams, but you also want to maybe give some wisdom or advice. So what would you say to that girl that was like, oh yeah, no, it's just like I'm going straight to Broadway and never leaving. Thank you very much.
Right. You know what? I think that not to speak ill of past Monet, but I think that I lacked a little curiosity. I think I was like, I know everything I need to know. I just graduated from NYU. I'm hot stuff. I can't be stopped. And I think that I didn't have, I wasn't like curious enough to ask questions of like, you're an actor, you work on Broadway. What is that like for you? And to learn that there are down times and to learn that like it's very rare that someone just jumps from show to show to show. Um, and so I think, and I would have told myself to have a little more patience too. And like, it's okay if it doesn't work out when you're 22, because that's nuts. And like
Right.
to try to remind her that the payoff, I think, is actually better. And maybe this is just coming from a personal place because my payoff has come later, but like the payoff is better when it comes later because then I was like really ready for it and like
Mm.
very grateful to have these jobs that I have now, as opposed to just feeling like it's owed to me or that I deserve this because I live in New York and I have a great degree from college. Like I feel like I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as if it happened right out of school. Um,
Okay. Interesting.
and also, like a lot of the jobs we do, I mean, Broadway, yes, is amazing, but a lot of the stuff we do is traveling. It's in different cities. It's with new people all the time. And like those skills are important and like very difficult to learn without actually doing them. Like it's hard to say like this is how you're gonna pack your 2 suitcases to like lug around America as you travel on tour. Like it's stuff that if I were 24, I'd be like, what do you mean? Like I have to live out of 2 bags and like live in a hotel and like make
Yeah.
coffee in this like what are you saying? So I think like the fact that I like I did the beautiful tour when I was 27 or 8, I think.
Okay.
It was in 2021. So by that point, I was like, okay, I know how to live. I know what I like to do every morning. And like, I need to bring these things with me in order to like replicate my morning routine. I need to like have this blanket that will make me feel homey. Like I just had a better idea of like what I need to survive and like how I need to set myself up for success. Um, so then I could go out in the world and do that. Because we were on this tour, we were really traveling like every week. We were like, we would get on a bus or a plane every Monday. We would land in a new city either Monday night or Tuesday, and then we would do shows Tuesday through Sunday, and then get back on a bus or a plane on the Monday and travel somewhere else. It was like, it's an insane way to live. But like, I just loved it because it's a sick thrill that I got from doing that. It's like, God, it's amazing. I
Well,
love it
because
so
you're an
much.
adventurer. It's in your
Yes.
bio. It's written in your bio.
It's true. It's true. I loved the adventure.
Oh
Oh
my
my God, it was
gosh.
amazing.
So okay, this is interesting. So you think that you wouldn't have appreciated it as much, and you wouldn't maybe have been ready for it if it would have happened right off the bat.
Yeah.
Do you have any belief in like divine timing or destiny? Like, what are your feelings around destiny and divine timing and that kind of?
Yeah. I mean, I do believe in it. And I
Okay.
think like even just what I was saying, like what is meant for me will come
Yeah.
for me. Like
Yeah.
what the job that's meant for me is going to find me. Like I do
Yeah.
think that there is a lot of belief in that because, or belief like wrapped up in that idea
Yeah.
because I like I don't have a lot of control, especially as an actor. Like um when shows are being put together, actors are kind of the last thing to be slotted in, which is surprising sometimes because you're like, we're the ones doing it every night for you. But like
Yeah.
they come like the director and the producers come up with the vision and then they hire a casting director to find the actors at the end.
Right.
So I think because there's no control, like I can't say, oh, I want to be attached to this project from the beginning because that's nobody, you can't do that because they're like, we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be.
Hmm.
So I do think there is a lot of destiny or like what is meant to be will happen. And sometimes I try to fight it, and sometimes I try to muscle my way through and be like, no, I'm gonna get this job no matter what, and then it doesn't happen because it wasn't meant to be. So, yeah, I guess I haven't really thought about it like that, but I think that that's probably a huge part of it. Kind of
Well,
blind faith too. Like, hope it works
yeah.
out.
I think, I mean, at least for me, with all the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, if I didn't have faith in, things that are meant for me, they might take longer than, or they might show up in a different way. But if it's meant for me, it's meant for me. And there's nothing I can
Yeah.
do to mess it up or, but you're right. Like when I get into that energy of fear or wanting to force something to look a certain way, I don't enjoy my life as much. But when I'm less attached to that and I'm just in faith and trust and showing up and going, okay, what can I do today? How can I use my gifts? How can I have
Hmm.
fun? So I think for me, I got my first agent when I was 10. And I think it's really hard being in the entertainment industry as a young person without a
Yeah.
very strong sense of self and also without a real strong sense of, for me, like faith in that, and and
Yeah.
and taking things personally. It's really hard as a kid to not take things personally,
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
So I think, yeah, I love asking that because I think it's a big help, especially when you live in a world that there's so much uncertainty.
Yeah. I even just said to my mom on the phone this week, like, because I don't have anything booked now for the rest of the year. I just am like, I don't know. I hope something will happen. But I said to her, I
Right.
was like, because she's nervous because she's my mom and she wants me to be
Cute.
successful. But I'm like, no, I'm like, it'll work out. Like something always happens. Like every day I wake up and like there's an email from my agent or somebody, and somebody is like asking me to be a part of something. And it's like every day is a possibility that something will happen. So it is faith. Yeah. I'm like, well, it's fine. Whatever. Today nothing happened. Tomorrow something will. And then someone will
Yeah.
call and someone will drop out of that show and they'll need me and off I go. Like it'll always work out. So I'm not In years past, I would have been very nervous not to have anything booked for the rest of the year, but right now I'm like, it's fine. Something will happen. Whatever. Like, worst comes
Yeah.
to worst, I'll like, work at this cute little boutique on the Upper West Side. Like, fine, I was like, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
They're like, I think it'll work out, and I think I know what I want to be doing. And if this is the way to it, then or this is it. I mean, it's like I am doing what I want to be
You
doing.
are
So,
doing, yeah.
right, right. So this is part of it too, the waiting.
And I think too, there are certain personalities that couldn't stomach waking up every single day in the unknown. So,
Yeah,
they get jobs that are more secure, that have more security.
yeah.
And then there are those of us that any day something could happen. You just don't know. You show up, you do what you can do, but there is more room for uh, possibilities that could be potentially like thrilling when
Yes.
you live like how you're living. Like, but not everybody has the stomach for it, right?
Yes, yes. And a lot of people I went to school with actually now have kind of transitioned out of this because they're like, thank you so much. That was so great. Now I'm in my 30s and I want to have a house and I want to have kids and I
Right.
want to have stability.
Yes.
Um, and I think it can be done with this lifestyle, but it is certainly more difficult. And because we're leaving all the time, it's like, how do you do that if you have a house and kids or pets or anything? So I think a lot of my friends have decided, not a lot, some of my friends have decided that they want to just do something else for now. And
Yeah.
you can always return to it too, which that's what I keep reminding them too. Like, theater has been the same for a long time, and the acting industry is exactly the same as it was a long time ago. And like, you can always come back, and we know how it works. And if you want to come back when you're 50, fine, you can play the mom, like it's great. It's like
Exactly.
it will
Exactly.
still be here. And so I think it's never a final decision. It's never like, I'm leaving forever, unless that's what you really want. But it's fine to take years and do something else too and come back to it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so, and right now I'm still at a point where I'm like, I'm fine to go fly off somewhere tomorrow and like I'm fine to do anything and I don't care. And then maybe in 5 years I'm gonna be like, nope, I want to have a kid in a house too. So like I'm gonna pivot to make some decisions to make that happen. But I guess that's circling back to like every year I kind of reassess like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Am I happy still? Am I enjoying it? And the steps that I've taken so far to get me here at 32 is like fine. I feel great with it. I'm like, I've lived my life in a certain way that I can like afford to live and I can be happy and I feel supported and I feel like I'm doing what I love. And if that changes in a couple of years, then it'll change, but who knows?
I love that. I think that's so great. I mean, to leave room for us to change our mind. That's the other thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think that most of us grew up where, our parents, like, the the goal was to have a job that you were able to stay at for as long as you could until you retired, right? and
Yes.
and so or also to stay in a relationship or stay married for as long as, like that's success.
Right.
The longer you're in the marriage and the longer you're in the job, the more successful you are. And that doesn't leave very much room for changing our minds about where we feel like we're meant to be. And so I
Yes.
think that it makes such sense to me based on where we're evolving and how we're evolving. What we want now is possibly going to be different than what we want a year from now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
normal. Like, why do we, you know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Yes.
I've been divorced twice. I'm not proud of that, but also like, so
It's part of
I
your
changed.
story.
I evolved. I changed. Who I was in my first marriage is not who I was in my second, and I'm not who I was in either of those marriages today. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I think it's refreshing to be able to give ourselves permission to assess and evaluate and leave room for us to change our mind. Give ourselves permission to change our
Yeah.
mind based on what our priorities are at any given moment.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. I have trouble sometimes when people ask, like, what's your 5-year plan or what's your 10-year? Where do you see yourself? I'm like, I have no idea. Like,
Yes.
and I think that's great. I don't think that I want to know because even if I had a vision, I'm sure that's going to change. So, like, why not just figure it out as we're going? And I
Yeah.
also think part of that was something else I say to myself a lot is like, when I'm faced with a big decision of like, what am I going to do here now in this moment? Once I commit to something, that I have to be 100% in on that because this version of my life that I didn't choose is none of my business. I don't want to know about it. I'm never going to know. It's who cares? None of my business. I can't know what that Monet is going to be like, but oh gosh, but I've chosen this way to go. So I have to like be all in on that. And I think that kind of helps with like regrets too, or like things that I wish I could have done, or what if this would have happened, or what if that would have happened. And like, well, it didn't, so I'll never know. And I didn't go down that path. So like, here I am now. Got to be present, got to be fully in this one because that's all I can do. This is
Yeah,
the only version I know.
absolutely. I love that. Well, so I'm the same. I have had people ask me like, "Well, what's your plan?" And I'm like, to keep doing what I'm doing and
Yeah.
and
Right.
I don't know. I mean, none of us are promised tomorrow. Really, that's the
Yes.
truth.
Yes.
Um, and I know it's good to have a plan, but it's just never really been my style to have like a 5 year or a 10 year. I'm like, I have no idea. My life could be completely different a year from today. I mean, I'm
Yes.
still single and I live in Southern California. I mean, a year from now, I could be living somewhere else with the love of my life. I have no
Yes.
idea, or
Right.
or not. But I like to leave room for the unknown. I like to leave room for the
Yes.
infinite possibilities.
I do too. And aren't we more of the mainstream? Like why is it so hip to know exactly what you're going to do every day for the rest of your life? Like, I don't know. That's no fun to me.
Well, I think that many artists and creatives feel like we are the outcasts of the world, or the
Yeah.
ones. Did you grow up feeling like different or not like people that you knew?
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, I always felt just in the kind of stereotypical high school tropes, I always felt a little bit on the outside because I was in theater and I was so nerdy and I would like rather would listen to musicals than go to the football game. But
Uh,
so I think, but I think in that too, I had a sense of what I wanted. And I was like, I know that I really love this thing, even if it's not the cool thing. I love to do this. And I would rather eat lunch in the drama room, than go like out. Um, but I think all of that was kind of unfamiliar to a high schooler, to be like, wait, you know what you want? That's kind of weird. Also, this thing that you like is weird. And like, isn't it cooler to go to parties and go to the football game? And it's like, I don't know. So I think but I always kind of had this thought that like, when I get to New York, it's going to be great. And that was true. So
yeah.
figured it out in that regard.
Yeah, I think, for anyone who's listening who's in a place where they, have a vision and have a dream, like it's it's working for you. Like you do live in New York and you do work consistently and you have been able to, have this starring role of this amazing um, character that you get to embody and portray, and you've gotten to travel. I mean, this is an incredible
Yeah,
life, right? This
it
this really is an
is.
incredible life. Now, I know that
It's
we're detached from the outcome, but if you could
yes.
like paint the picture of your absolute dream life, like right now, like if you could snap your fingers and it would be your absolute. I mean, I know you're living your dream life right now, but like even more, like if you could just really let yourself go wild with your
Yes.
big dreams.
I think that I I would love to go to Broadway with it like an original show, like originating a role in something.
Okay.
That is a big dream that I have. I think because a lot of the time, um, the way that you can get into Broadway is like you replace somebody else, like someone's leaving, so then I'm gonna come in and like take over for so and so.
I see.
But she's originated the role. So I'm kind of doing something that she created, and I just kind of have to copy it, make it my own a little, but it's more her thing. So I
Okay.
think it would be fun to like create a role from the ground up and then go to Broadway and be like, this is Monet Sabel playing this role. She's the first one to ever do it. How cool is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And then with that would come, you could be on the cast recording, which I always loved listening to when I was a kid. I still do. Love listening to Broadway cast recordings. Um, and then you could perform at the Tonys. Like all these things are wrapped up in having an original show. So I think that would be a huge dream. Um, I also think I do like see myself in New York, at least in this dream version, and like just for the foreseeable future. I think I just love it here. So I would love to like maybe have a brownstone in the West Village or something, have more space, have like more floors.
Uh-huh.
If we're really dreaming, that would be
Please.
really fun.
I like to play this game. This is my favorite game. Like, let's play the
Yes.
big dream. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would love that. Um, I and then I think then I'll be a huge movie star too, because I think
Yeah.
that's a part that I haven't tapped into yet. And I think
I see. I so
yeah.
see that.
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
Love to do that.
I really do feel like this is I'm gonna find this footage when you're walking the red carpet and be like, I had the interview. I had it and
We
I
know
knew it.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the only one, obviously. Like you are, it is so clear and so evident. You are absolutely a star. I mean, there's just you walk into the room and you have this presence and this like just phenomenal star quality without a
Thank
doubt.
you.
Without a doubt. And I don't say that lightly. I really mean that with all of my heart. Like you are special. You are absolutely special. And
Thank
I
you.
see all of that happening for you. There's no doubt in my mind that
Oh,
that is your future.
thanks. Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait for us.
I can't wait for us either. And I'm going to have my talk show and I'm going to have you back
Yes.
on
Yes. Oh
when
my
you're
God, you'd be so
when
good
you're
at
on the red
that.
carpet. You know, doesn't that
Oprah can
sound
pass it
fun?
off.
Pass it. Hello. I'm
Yes.
ready. I'm ready. Oh my God, I love it. Okay. Well, what else do you want to share? Oh, you did an album. Tell me about
Oh my
the
God.
album. Let's talk about that a little bit before we wrap things
Yes.
up.
That was a long time ago. That was
Okay.
in 2012, I think. I think I was still
Okay.
in school. My first long-term boyfriend was this amazing musician. And he orchestrated this whole album. We chose like five or six jazz standards or theater songs, and he like arranged them into kind of a big band style.
Uh-huh.
And then we recorded it. We like went to a recording studio in Boston because he was in school in Boston at the time. And we got all these amazing musicians, and I had a mic just like this, and I recorded, and we had a guy master the whole thing and engineer it, and then we released it. It was like such a fun project that was one of those things where I feel like I'm always like, oh, I should do that. I should make an album. Why don't I just do that? And then we really did it. And we really made this whole amazing album. And it's so good. I think now as I look back, I'm like, oh my God, my voice sounds so young. I sound so, immature, but I can just nitpick myself for days. But everyone else says that it's wonderful. And it is. It's wonderful. His arrangements are amazing too. Like the songs are so good. It was so fun to put
And we
together.
can we find that on your website?
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
it's on Spotify and Apple Music.
Okay.
Just
So
if
we'll
you
make
look up
sure
my
to,
name.
yeah, we'll make sure to do the links there. You know,
Yeah.
that's the other thing that reminds me of is to share with people, like, that's a good example of we don't have to wait. You know,
Yeah.
oftentimes as a performer, you're waiting for the audition, you're waiting for the opportunity. But this day and age, even back in 2012, like you said, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to actually be the creator of this. I
Yeah.
I heard Martha Beck, she has a quote and she said the opposite of depression is creativity. And I think that when we are in that creative mode, and that's when our spirit is the most alive and we are not depressed. When we're
Yeah.
depressed, it's because we're not using our gifts and we're not being in that creative flow. And so you're the perfect example of yes, you have to wait for certain opportunities, and also you can be constantly creating.
Yeah.
And you don't
Yeah.
have to wait for you don't have to wait for somebody to, give you the opportunity. You can create the opportunities. And you do that all the
Yes.
time. I mean, and we have like
Yeah.
even on Instagram the other day when you did the whole cute little version of, your morning. That was so entertaining and amazing, and I want to see more of that.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I was so happy that everybody liked that too. I got so many great comments about it. I was like, oh, good. I'll keep making them.
Keep making them. They're darling.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating for those of us that don't do what you do and aren't like professional singers. A lot goes into keeping your voice because you always
Oh,
wonder like
yeah.
how do you perform day in and day out? Well, you showed us.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
very like specific routine and ritual that you do every single day to keep your body and your voice healthy.
Yeah, it is so much work. And I think that was part of my thought in making that. Because I think I see a lot of singers online, because I just follow a lot of singers. And so I was like, I know what we do, but I think there's a lot of people who don't know what we do. All my
Yeah.
friends at home and all, everybody, like, there's so much work to sustain it. And it depends on the role too. Like when I'm doing Carole King, it's such a huge role. I'm on stage the whole time. I'm singing like 15 or 16 songs, I think, and like they're all iconic, all Carole. And like Carole's voice is like a little raspy, it's a little bit heavier of a sound. She has kind of a smoky tone. And so um like in technical terms, I guess I'm figuring out how to make that sound without hurting myself and without like squeezing my voice and trying to make. So I spend a lot of time doing that. And then in order to sustain that over a whole run, I'm using my steamer to like moisturize the cords. I'm warming up for like 20 minutes before I do a show. I didn't include that. I should make a video about what my warm-ups are. And I'm like,
Yes.
do like little light lip trills and things and hums. And then I'll clear up my sinuses all the time. Like, there's all these things that we have to do just to get ready. And then once I get to the theater, and then I have to like put all my makeup on. I have to put my hair prepared to go underneath a wig, get our costumes on. There's like all these things that go into just when the curtain comes up at 8 p.m. or whenever you're seeing it. Like it's a lot of work. And I think like, and it affects my whole life when I'm doing a run. Like when I was in Minneapolis for 8 months, that was like we were doing a show every day except Monday. And so my whole life was revolved around this show and like making
Yeah.
sure I could like get my act together to sing it at 8 o'clock at night, or sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
So then I think sometimes even I trick myself and I'm like, oh, well, I'll have the whole day off. I can do whatever I want and then I can get it together at the theater. And it's just not true. It's not true. I still have to spend the whole day being like very specific about what I'm doing, what I'm eating, how much energy I'm exerting. And so it's a whole balance.
It's fascinating. Okay, one more question because I was just
Yeah.
thinking about this. Like, how do you find the novelty
Hmm.
in a show that you're performing every single day over and over and over again? Like, how do you,
Yes.
stay excited and find the novelty?
That's a good question. And I had this question a lot when I was younger, before I had done a long run. I was like, how do they do it? How do they do it every day? I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's like actually insane to be doing the exact same thing every
Yeah.
day. Like, what do you mean? I think a big part of it, specifically with this show, is I just love it so much. I think it's so good. The music is amazing. I was listening to it my whole life before I got to sing it on stage. Like, she's famous for a reason. So I think that helps a lot, that the material's really good.
Yeah.
Um, but something that I've learned through doing a long run is I try to kind of honor where I am every day. And I mean like there are certain lines I have to say, there are certain songs I have to sing, there I have to stand in the same place. But like I think within that, if I'm a little bit angry or tired or grumpy or something, it feels false to like start the show like 1,000,000% and be so happy and lively, because like that's just not what's going on today. And I think
Okay.
I can there's nuance, and maybe it's only perceptible to me, which I think is true because people have said like you're so consistent, you do the same thing, and I'm like I'm not really doing the same thing. But but in my own head I'm feeling like, well, today I'm kind of grumpy, so like I can add a little bit of that into my Carole this day, and like maybe she starts a little grumpy and then she like grows into this different person by the time we get to act 2. But I think like not trying to ignore what I'm feeling that day, is a big part of it too, and just like honoring like what have I done today? Or I'm kind of hungry. Like, okay, that's fine. It's like we can't ignore what is happening in our bodies, so we have to like use it somehow. And I think like just even acknowledging like I feel kind of nervous today. All right, well, here we go. I'm nervous. So let's go off with that. And today we're starting the show nervous. Like I think just not ignoring what is true in the present moment. Um and
Excellent.
then also at a certain point though, like muscle memory kicks in and I mean, just to be frank, there are times when my mind is like somewhere else and I'm on stage and I'm like, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about like what dinner I'm gonna have after the show. And I'm like, oh my God, Monet, get it together, get back on stage, like play your
Yeah.
song, do your thing. Like, and that's kind of crazy too, because when you do something over and over, like your mind can kind of wander. So but I am conscious of like bringing it back and I'm bringing it
Yeah.
back here. And I think like having different audiences every night helps too. And sometimes they're very
Yes.
vocal, sometimes they're very quiet. And I think that certainly impacts our energy on
Different
stage.
energy for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's a
And then
different
if
co-created experience with different energy.
yes, because we're all here together and like we're all
Yeah.
sitting in this dark room together for 2.5 hours. And so like we can't ignore that you're there and I'm here, like here we are, we're here together. So
Yeah.
this is the day you're gonna get. And that's why I love theater too, is because it's so ephemeral and there it goes. It's what you'd see it one time and you're never gonna see the same show again because we can't
Yeah.
recreate it that well. We try, but like it's a special moment in time and then it's gone. Bye.
Ooh,
But
I
it's
love
special.
that. I love that so much. Like, and that can be applied really to anything in life. Like, not
Yeah.
not to deny what is in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, you just bring all of you. I mean, it's not like you're gonna all of a sudden on stage like be like, I'm cranky today, but you're not
Right.
ignoring that that's present for you. And so you're finding a way to weave that in, even if it's subtle. You're allowing yourself to be with the experience that you're having that day. And I think that's so important just on a day-to-day basis for all of us. Like
Right.
there's room for anything that we're feeling and not to deny or suppress whatever is present for us, but really just to honor it and notice it and allow for it
Yeah.
to be there. I think that's so beautiful.
And something I love that you do that too in plyo jam. Sometimes you'll say
Yeah.
like, "I'm not really feeling it," and then by the end you're like, "I'm feeling it,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think it's better just to be honest about it because nobody is happy 1,000% of the time, and nobody is
Right.
like giving 1,000% because we can't. We have to like protect ourselves too. So I think
Yeah.
we can start somewhere and then end up somewhere else too. Like whether it's at the end of the class or at the end of your workday or at the end of my show or whatever. Like we change a lot. And so I think it's you can acknowledge that
That
all that can be
literally
true.
happened to me yesterday. I showed up to my class to teach and I wasn't feeling particularly joyful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started class and I just started noticing the people in the class and like making eye contact and really just being present in the moment. And then also just using the expression, the creative expression of dance and movement as a way for me to feel all the things that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the beautiful things about being a creative person is that we have the opportunity to use whatever modality it is, whether it's acting or singing or dancing or art, like we can use that as a way to move whatever it is that's inside of us out into that
Mm-hmm.
art. Oh,
Absolutely.
and even when you're on stage doing a role that you've done, that still applies. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally does. I never want to be phoning it in either.
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
want to show up and be like, well, I guess I'll do my job today. Because then it's like, why am I doing this? It's
exactly,
because it's
exactly.
so personal and it's so exhausting and it's so all consuming. And so if I'm not going to give all of myself, then like, why I should just go do something else then? Because
Yeah,
there's no point. It's too much work to pretend or like phone it
yeah.
in.
All of me, all of myself. Okay. Well,
Yes,
I adore you.
I
I
adore you.
do. And I want everybody to go find Monet on Instagram. I will put
Yes.
the link in the show notes and find her at monetsabel.com and just follow her because I'm telling you, you're going to be like, oh, Amber called it. She is walking the red carpet right now. She's getting her Tony. She's getting her Oscar. Like, seriously, it's It's
I
happening.
can't wait.
It's
I'll see you
happening.
there.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there. All right. Thanks,
That's right.
friends. And if some of my favorite takeaways from this episode with Monet is, she's been doing this for a long time and she's still, finding the joy in the day-to-day moments of her life and not waiting for when this happens, I'll be happy, but really finding joy and happiness in the day-to-day moments, leaving room for, that uncertainty and the infinite possibilities, giving herself permission to dream big and
Yeah.
also like having the resilience of letting go when it's not meant for her. So I think that each one of us can take that into our lives, no matter what we do, is,
Hmm.
take that philosophy in. Is like find the joy in this present moment, allow yourself to dream, don't take things personally. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. If it's not, it's not. Move on.
Yeah.
And also, I think this was a big one. Give yourself permission to change your mind. And I think bringing in the practice that you do, whether it's once a year or once every 6 months, like evaluate your life. Really be conscious and intentional with your life. Like, am I still enjoying what I'm doing? And if not, what else do I want to do? And if you know
Yeah.
what I mean, like just give ourselves permission to flow and change and evolve and grow and not get too stuck, um, with ideas of success that we've been conditioned to believe in.
Yeah. Because it looks different for
It looks
everybody.
different for everybody. All right, my friend, thank you so much. I love you, and I hope
I
that you're
love
coming to
you.
California soon to dance with me again.
Yes, I know I need to.
Okay.
I can't wait.
All right, friends. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.